Welcome to our episode number 56 of Around the World in 80 Tangos. And today we have a really smash hit. It's the wish of Ursula from Berlin, Toda, vida of Anibal Troilo.
The title says All My Life, Toda, vida. Composition Anibal Troilo. The lyrics José María Contursi. The singer is Francisco Fiorentino.
And the piece is from 1941, after 3 years of break, recordings of Troilo.
Yes, in 1938, the orchestra got a contract with Odeon, one of the big players, record company in Buenos Aires. And they made 2 recordings and then a break. And then after the contract ran out, they changed to Victor, the other big company, and really started their recording career. And this fate Troilo shared with Tanturi, by the way. Also, he was stuck with Odeon after first recordings in 1937. And then he also changed to Victor and could start.
In this time, there were so many big orchestras, good orchestras, that even Pugliese, he found his orchestra in 1939 and he started recording in 43. So he was not able to get the contract for 4 years.
Yeah, and then he got a contract with Odeon.
Other way around.
Yes.
But today we wanted to talk about a really important figure in tango, the arranger.
The arrangement in tango music appeared in the 20s when the orchestras went more sophisticated and he needed to make a difference. So it's a bit like the producer in rock music, in pop music, where there's one guy who is creating the signature, the soundscape of a band. And so did the arranger. And they were really profiled, very qualified people and had a lot of work, of course, because in this time they had no computer, no program. They just had to do it manually, so to speak. And the arranger of this piece is Hector Maria Artola.
He was born in Uruguay and he went to Montevideo to study, actually, not tango, something else.
Now he wanted to study law. He came from a small village called San Jose. Then he went to Montevideo to become a lawyer. But then he met Eduardo Arolas. In this time he was mostly a piano player and started to play with bands. He met Edgardo Donato. He played in the orchestra of Donato Ciriaco. And in this time he changed to the bandoneon. He was fascinated by this instrument.
And we could say because of Arolas, he hooked on tango.
I think so, yes. Then he got a job in Paris in 1927. There was a big stream of tango musicians going to Europe, Luce Demare among them. And in Paris, he got so embarrassed about the quality of the bandoneon players there that he, as an Argentinian, felt obliged now really to practice, to get into this instrument, which then became his main instrument.
And from Paris, Spain was not that far, so he went to Barcelona and there he met Demare and he played with them.
Yes, he played in the orchestra of Luce Demare. And in Valencia, he studied harmony and counterpoint. So he deepened his study, his understanding of music, which later became his very important qualification because he became an important arranger for many, many tango orchestras. And he was the first important arranger for Anibal Troilo.
And his traveling brought him to Hamburg, to Germany.
Yes, he was together with Bachicha, Juan Bautista de Ambrogio, whom he met in Paris. He was traveling in Europe, and then in Hamburg he met a band called Los Aces del Tango, the Aces of Tango. And there the singer was Francisco Fiorentino, who also sings Toda mi vida. And with this orchestra he also came to Berlin in 1931. Then he went back to Paris, but he had to leave to Montevideo because his aunt got sick, so he went back.
But a bit later, Europe called him again.
Yes. He had several engagements. for example, with Libertad Lamarck. And then he was hired by Francisco Canaro, and through that he got an appointment with Rafael Canaro in Paris in 1938, where he stayed until 1940. And then because the war broke out, he went back to Buenos Aires, where he joined Osvaldo Fresedo.
We always talk about the golden age of tango, this period where tango was not born, but the music what we dance today is from this time. But this was also the other side. There was a horrible time in the world. We had the Second World War. And often I'm not being aware of it was the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's also good to remember this. This was not only the golden age of tango, it was also another time in the world.
Yeah, sometimes tango people tend to not mention the war. And it started already in the First World War, where many tango musicians were pretty aware of their ancestors, of their origins, and they were concerned about things happening there. The same was when, for example, the Spanish Civil War broke out, where Osvaldo Pugliese found his engagement in the Communist Party of Argentina, and which divided the Argentine society. So it was a very strong part of society which was sympathizing with Nazi Germany. Juan Domingo Perón invited thousands of war criminals to Argentina. So I think in the 40s, Buenos Aires in parts was a bit disgusting because of all these people who were sentenced to death in Belgium or in Yugoslavia because they committed horrible war crimes. But the Argentinians invited them with open arms. And they closed their borders for Jews, for example, who tried to escape from Nazi-occupied Europe. And it's a bit strange that this is often excluded from our perception when we talk about tango. As you said, we talk about the golden period, the golden age. We just exclude these circumstances.
Yeah, I think from time to time we should remember this too. Let's go back to Atola. This arrangement of this piece, I think it's so typical for Troilo, this amazing solo in the middle of the piece.
Yes, it's a very straightforward arrangement. The number has 3 pieces, ABC. The last, the C part, you always recognize when they come with a strong 3-3-2 syncopation. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the trademark solo of Anibal Troilo, where he performs all sort of dynamics. He starts very low, then the instrument growls, and then he does a vibrato, and he goes through many possible dynamics of this instrument with very few notes.
Let's listen to this part of the piece. Always goosebumps in this moment. Today, after such a long time without seeing you, without talking to you, already tired of searching for you. Always I feel I'm dying slowly because of your indifference, and that on my cold face you won't leave your kisses. I know you have loved me dearly, so much as I have loved you, but in turn I have suffered much more than you. I don't know why I lost you. I don't know when it happened. But with you I left all my life. And that today you're far away from me and you have managed to forget. I'm only a passage in your life, nothing more. There's so little missing to go forever. My eyes won't see you ever, ever again. And if there were ever a day when, because of me, you shed a tear because you loved me so much, I know you will forgive me. Also goosebumps, and the story behind this piece is quite similar to Merceditas in our episode number 47.
But this went the other way around. So the author of Merceditas never married Mercedes. But the author of this lyric, José María Contursi, married in the end Grisel. This was a real love story, not always a very happy one. They met when they were very young. He was in his 20s, she was 14. And then they fell in love, but they never came together because she lived on the countryside, he in Buenos Aires, and both married different partners. He became father of 4 children. One little son died very young on cancer. And although he was an unhappy man in this marriage, he never left his wife and his family because his father, Pascual Contursi, the author of Mi Noche Triste, was a drunkard, a night guy, and he really left his wife and his son. And this was a lifelong topic for José María Contursi, so he didn't do this. Then, after the years, both became widowed. So the husband of Grisel died and the wife of José María Contursi died. And then one day, Ciriaco-Ortiz, the famous bandoneon player and a friend of José María, felt so much pity because this guy was drinking himself to death. He was spending all night long in the bars and drinking whiskey. And although he was still an elegant man, a very well-dressed guy, friend of the nightlife, he traveled to the countryside to inform Grisel that meanwhile he was free. And she took the opportunity, called him up, and then they met in Buenos Aires. Then she traveled back and forth from her home village to Buenos Aires to meet him and to stay in his house. And after a while she felt it won't get better when he stays in Buenos Aires. And then she decided, you come with me and the whiskey stays here.
And the whiskey stood in Buenos Aires and he went with her. They married.
They married some years later. He didn't live much longer. After 5-6 years, he died because his health was really ruined by his former life. But they had some nice years together. And so it's a sort of a happy story. A very famous tango love story. And many of the lyrics José María Contursi wrote reflect this theme. The most famous, called Grisel.
Also a recording of Anibal Troilo. And with this lovely happy end, we say goodbye from our episode number 56 of Around the World in 80 Tangos. Today we make a wish come true for Ursula from Berlin, Toda, vida, a recording of Anibal Troilo from 1941.
The music written by Troilo himself, the lyrics José María Contursi. The singer is Francisco Fiorentino, and the arrangement was done by Hector Artola.
Thank you for traveling with us through tangos we love, and we hope you enjoyed. This was
Daniela and Raimund, Tango Mundo, Berlin.
Take care and stay healthy.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.